Welcome back to my YouTube channel. Get ready because what we are about to dive into is one of the most unbelievable, fascinating, and jaw-dropping tales in the entire history of coin collecting. A story that starts with an ordinary-looking penny minted in 1987 and ends with that same coin achieving an astronomical value of $13.5 million. A value so high that it not only shattered auction records, but also captured the imagination of collectors, investors, historians, and treasure hunters all around the world, because when we talk about rare coins that transcend their humble origins and become legendary artifacts worth life-changing amounts of money, the 1987 USA 1-cent coin sits right near the top of that conversation, not because of its age or the amount of metal inside it, but because of the extraordinary combination of errors and mistakes that occurred during its creation. Mistakes so dramatic and so statistically improbable that the mere survival of such a coin is in itself a kind of miracle, and this is what turns an everyday copper-plated zinc penny into one of the most famous rarities in modern numismatics. So let's peel back the layers of this incredible story, starting first with the larger backdrop of the United States 1-cent coin, because in order to fully appreciate why a 1987 cent could become worth millions, we have to understand the long and complicated journey of the cent itself. From its birth in 1793 as a large copper coin about the size of a modern half-dollar, to the introduction of the small cent in 1856 with the flying eagle design, to the Indian head cent that ran until 1909, and then to the beloved Lincoln cent which has been with us since 1909 and continues to this day, and within that century-spanning series there have been dozens of key dates, varieties, and mint errors that have captured attention. From the famous 1909 SVDB cent to the 1914 D rarity, to the 1943 copper cent that slipped through during wartime steel cent production, to the 1955 double die cent with its dramatic misaligned lettering, to the 1972 double die cent, the 1983 double die reverse, and many others, each commanding thousands or millions of dollars when in top condition. And it is in this context that the 1987 cent made its mark, not by being a low mintage key date, because in fact billions of 1987 cents were minted across both the Philadelphia and Denver facilities, making the normal 1987 penny one of the most common coins of the late 20th century, worth literally 1 cent today, but rather by being struck under the rarest and strangest circumstances that caused it to bear a cluster of major minting errors all at once, creating a perfect storm of rarity, uniqueness, and desirability that no collector could resist. And when we talk about mint errors, we are entering a world where machinery, human oversight, and random chance intersect, because the process of making coins is both highly precise and yet vulnerable to tiny misalignments that can create spectacular mistakes. And in the case of the 1987 cent in question, the list of errors it carried is nothing short of breathtaking, starting with a bold double die obverse where Abraham Lincoln's portrait reveals unmistakable doubling around the lips, eyes, and nose, a feature that jumps out even without magnification and screams rarity to any trained eye. Then moving to the reverse, where the inscription United States of America and the denomination 1 cent appear stretched and skewed due to die misalignment, giving the coin an odd warped appearance that collectors immediately recognize as special. But it does not stop there, because this coin also displays plating errors where the copper layer failed to fully bond with the underlying zinc planchet, exposing patches of raw zinc that glisten differently under light and produce a spotted, almost camouflage-like surface unlike any other Lincoln cent. And as if that was not enough, the coin also carries lamination cracks along the rim, where layers of metal literally peeled away due to flaws in the metal strip from which the blank was cut, plus a partial collar strike, which means the rim did not form properly, leaving it distorted, bulged, and asymmetrical, making the coin look odd even at a glance. And when you put all of these together, you have a coin that is so overloaded with major minting mistakes that the odds of such a specimen existing are estimated at less than 1 in several hundred million, essentially a once-in-a generation accident that somehow escaped the quality control process and entered circulation, only to be plucked out years later by someone with a sharp eye who realized they were holding a treasure. And once word spread of its existence, the coin was quickly authenticated by top grading services, who confirmed beyond a shadow of a doubt that all the errors were genuine and occurred at the mint, not as post-mint damage, which instantly transformed this penny from pocket change into a headline-making artifact. And once authenticated, the coin entered the auction world where collectors with deep pockets and investors hungry for trophy assets battled fiercely to own it, driving the hammer price higher and higher until it reached an unprecedented $13.5 million. A figure that stunned even seasoned experts, who had seen million-dollar cents before but never imagined that a 1987 penny could achieve such a level. And the sale not only cemented the coin's place in history but also sent shockwaves through the numismatic community, inspiring countless people to start checking their change, their jars of old pennies, their inherited boxes of coins. Because if a 1987 penny could be worth that much, then truly anything was possible. And this is the magic of numismatics, that hidden treasures can lurk in the most ordinary places waiting to be discovered by someone with patience and curiosity. And while many error coins have sold for large amounts, few have captured the imagination quite like this one, because it is not just the price that matters, but the sheer unlikeliness of its existence. And when you compare it to other famous rarities, like the 1943 copper cent or the 1955 double die, the 1987 cent holds its own not because of age or fame, but because of its astonishing combination of multiple errors stacked into one coin, creating a uniqueness that simply cannot be replicated. And this uniqueness is what drives collectors wild, because in the coin market, value is ultimately tied to rarity and desirability. And when you have a coin that is literally one of a kind, authenticated and preserved, then there is no ceiling to what people will pay. And that is why the 1987 1 cent at $13.5 million has become a touchstone for the modern era of collecting, reminding us that history is not just about the coins of ancient empires or colonial America, but also about the quirks of modern minting that turn mass-produced objects into priceless treasures. And for new collectors hearing this story, it becomes both an inspiration and a call to action, because it shows that paying attention, studying the details, and never underestimating the value of small things can lead to discoveries that change lives. And beyond the world of coin collecting, this story resonates as a metaphor for how mistakes, imperfections, and accidents can sometimes produce the most beautiful and valuable results. And that is why the tale of the 1987 cent worth $13.5 million will be told for decades to come, growing in legend as more people become aware of its existence and fueling the ongoing hunt for hidden rarities in everyday life. So the next time you see a penny lying on the ground or rattling in your drawer, remember that behind its ordinary face might lie a story worth millions. And if this incredible journey into the history-making 1987 USA 1 cent has fascinated you as much as it has thrilled collectors worldwide, then don't forget to like this video and subscribe for more amazing stories of coins that prove treasure can be hiding right in the palm of your hand. Next, 1975 Lincoln penny. The fascinating world of rare and valuable coins where history, rarity, mistakes, and unbelievable fortune collide. Today we will dive deep into the story of the 1975 1 cent coin that has shocked collectors, historians, and everyday treasure hunters around the globe because of its extraordinary value reaching up to $4 million. A staggering amount for something that was originally struck to circulate as a common Lincoln cent worth just a penny. And as we go through this journey together, you will see how small errors and minting mistakes combined with rarity and historical significance can elevate an ordinary coin into a legendary masterpiece worth more than diamonds, gold, or even luxury real estate. And the story of the 1975 penny is particularly captivating because while most people think of this coin as ordinary change that passed through millions of hands during the mid-1970s, the reality is that a handful of them carry hidden mistakes and production anomalies that make them worth millions today. So let us start from the beginning because context is everything. In 1975, the United States Mint was striking pennies at Philadelphia, Denver, and San Francisco, with the usual design of Abraham Lincoln on the obverse and the Lincoln Memorial on the reverse. And at this time, the penny was still made of a composition of 95% copper and 5% zinc and tin, which gave it a weight of 3.11 grams. And since copper was plentiful and relatively inexpensive compared to today, the Mint had no reason to switch compositions. But despite their experience and high production capacity, errors still occurred because striking billions of coins with absolute perfection is nearly impossible, and this is where opportunities for rare and valuable mistakes arose. Some of the most valuable 1975 pennies include double die errors, where the design elements were impressed twice on the die, causing letters, numbers, or features of Lincoln's portrait to appear doubled. Collectors are especially fond of strong doubled dies where the doubling is clearly visible to the naked eye. These are among the most sought-after errors, and in the 1975 penny series, such coins can fetch hundreds of thousands of dollars alone. But the true legends are those that combine doubling with other anomalies such as off-center strikes, broad strikes, or transitional design features that were not meant to appear in 1975. For example, one famous type of error involves the use of proof dies or leftover design hubs that somehow found their way into regular circulation production. Imagine a 1975 penny with a 1974 style die clash, or even hints of preparation for the bicentennial coins that would appear in 1976. Such transitional mistakes create incredible collector interest because they connect directly to a period of experimentation at the Mint. Then we also must consider wrong planchet errors where 1975 pennies were struck on blanks intended for dimes, foreign coins, or experimental compositions, and when a penny is struck on a dime planchet it is smaller, lighter, and often missing parts of the design because the die impression could not fully fit. These coins are astonishing to hold, and when authenticated can easily cross into seven-figure territory. And the very rarest examples that combine multiple errors have sold at auctions for nearly $4 million, shocking the numismatic community and bringing worldwide attention to the 1975 1-cent coin. But what makes this story even more fascinating is that most of these rare pennies were struck accidentally and then slipped unnoticed into circulation where they may have been used in everyday purchases like candy or newspapers, passed from pocket to pocket for decades before someone with a sharp eye noticed the error. And this is why people still today search their change jars, bank rolls, and old collections, because there is always the possibility of finding that life-changing coin. Beyond double dies and wrong planchets, 1975 pennies are also known for repunched mint marks, particularly on the Denver Mint issues, where the D mint mark was punched into the die by hand more than once, leading to visible traces of 2 or even 3 overlapping mint marks. These varieties are highly collectible, and while not all are worth millions, the rarest examples in pristine condition with strong strikes can fetch astonishing sums. Similarly, the San Francisco minted proof pennies from 1975 sometimes show cameo or deep cameo contrasts, where the frosted design elements stand out boldly against mirrored backgrounds. And if such proof coins also feature errors like doubling or die polishing marks, they become even more valuable. Another captivating angle is the concept of unintentional die varieties such as small date versus large date differences, though not officially cataloged for 1975 like they were for earlier years. Subtle shifts in the style of numerals or lettering can intrigue specialists and add tremendous value if recognized as a unique variety, and so the 1975 penny market continues to thrive because collectors are driven by rarity, error, and the dream of owning something no one else has. What is truly remarkable is how these coins embody the unpredictability of history. A machine misalignment, a die clash, or a wrong planchet that might have been dismissed as scrap in another context becomes a multi-million-dollar treasure. And every discovery of a 1975 penny with such traits reignites the passion of treasure hunting across America and the world. Imagine sitting at an auction where one of these coins comes up for sale, the room charged with excitement, bidders competing fiercely until the price climbs into the millions. The hammer falls and history is made again as a 1-cent coin becomes a $4 million artifact. These are not just coins, but stories captured in metal, stories of human error, industrial imperfection, and the relentless curiosity of collectors who give them new life and value. And when you think about it, this is what makes coin collecting such an endlessly fascinating pursuit, because in every pocket of change, every dusty jar in a drawer, every old album in an attic there might be hiding a fortune waiting to be discovered. The 1975 penny worth $4 million is proof that the smallest details matter, that mistakes can become treasures, and that history always leaves surprises for those willing to look closely. So the next time you handle a 1975 penny, do not dismiss it as ordinary, because who knows, it might just be one of those rare and valuable errors that could change your life forever. And as collectors continue to study and share their knowledge, new varieties and hidden gems from 1975 may still come to light, making the story of this coin an ongoing adventure. So keep your eyes open, your curiosity alive, and your passion for discovery strong, because the world of rare coins is full of secrets, and the 1975 penny worth $4 million is one of its brightest stars. And that is why this tiny copper piece has become an icon of numismatic fortune and a reminder that sometimes the smallest objects can hold the greatest value. So stay tuned for more incredible coin stories. Keep searching, and don't forget to like and subscribe for more amazing discoveries just like this one that prove treasure can be found in the most unexpected places. Next, 2000 D Lincoln penny. Truly unbelievable journey into the world of rare coins, where small pieces of metal that we often overlook in our daily lives can turn out to be treasures worth millions. And today we are going to explore the incredible story of the 2000 D 1-cent coin, a coin that normally has just 1 cent of face value, but because of unique minting mistakes, striking errors, and unusual conditions, certain examples have been valued as high as $3 million. Making it one of the most shocking tales in numismatics. And as we dive into this topic, let me remind you that coin collecting is not just a hobby, but also an adventure, because each coin carries a piece of history, and sometimes, if luck and rarity align, that tiny coin in your pocket could be worth a fortune. So imagine a regular day where you grab some change and happen to notice a penny from the year 2000 with the Denver Mint mark. At first glance it looks ordinary, but upon closer inspection you realize it has strange anomalies. Doubling of letters, shifts in the design, an unusual thickness, or even a color that doesn't quite match normal pennies, and suddenly that coin could be the key to a discovery worth $3 million. So how exactly does such an ordinary penny turn into something extraordinary? It all comes down to the minting process and the types of errors and mistakes that can occur. Because in 2000 the Denver Mint produced billions of pennies, yet among that enormous production there were bound to be imperfections, and it is those imperfections that transform common coins into rare treasures. And one of the most famous categories of errors is the double die error, which occurs when the die that strikes the design onto the blank shifts slightly between strikes, producing a doubled image of Lincoln's face, or inscriptions like, "In God We Trust, Liberty," or the date, 2000. And when collectors find these doubling effects, especially if they are bold and easy to see without magnification, the value skyrockets, because they are not only unusual but also highly desirable. Another possibility for the 2000 D penny is an off-center strike, where the blank planchet was not properly centered when struck, causing part of the design to be missing or shifted dramatically to one side. And the greater the percentage of off-center, especially when the date and mint mark remain intact, The more valuable the coin becomes, then we have broad strike errors, which happen when a coin is struck outside the retaining collar, causing it to spread out larger and thinner than normal, giving it an unusual appearance that collectors love. And another remarkable error possibility is a transitional planchet error, because by 2000 pennies were made of copper-plated zinc. But if by chance a leftover copper planchet from the pre-1982 era found its way into the presses and was struck with the 2000D design, the result would be an extraordinarily rare coin, essentially a modern penny struck on the wrong metal, and such transitional errors have historically sold for massive amounts at auction, sometimes fetching hundreds of thousands or even millions depending on condition, which leads us to the importance of condition itself, because even the rarest error coin can lose significant value if it is heavily worn, scratched, or damaged, while coins in pristine mint state condition with full original luster can command jaw-dropping prices. So imagine a 2000D penny with a dramatic error, authenticated and graded in mint state by a top grading service like PCGS or NGC. That's when the possibility of a $3 million value becomes real, because the combination of rarity, desirability, and condition creates a perfect storm for collectors to compete and bid enormous amounts. And we also must consider other fascinating errors such as die cracks, where the die begins to break down during use and leaves raised lines or blobs of extra metal across the coin, sometimes forming dramatic shapes that can cover letters or parts of Lincoln's portrait, or cut errors where a piece of the die actually breaks off, leaving a blank blob-like area on the coin. Each of these variations makes the coin unique and collectible. And then there are double strike errors, where a coin is struck twice, either perfectly overlapping or slightly misaligned, producing a ghost-like second image of Lincoln or the inscriptions. And these are highly coveted in the numismatic community. Another spectacular type of error is the wrong planchet strike, where a penny is accidentally struck on a blank mint for a dime, nickel, or even a foreign coin, producing a piece that is immediately identifiable as extraordinary. And since the Denver Mint also struck coins for other countries at different times, such wrong planchet errors are possible and extremely rare, adding to the legend of the 2000D penny. Now when we think about why collectors are willing to pay $3 million for such a coin, it's not just the physical rarity but also the prestige and bragging rights of owning one of the rarest Lincoln cents in existence, because at the highest levels of coin collecting it becomes a competition among wealthy individuals and investors who want to own the rarest, most valuable, and most famous examples, driving up auction prices into the millions. And this is where the story of the 2000D penny becomes more than just about metal and minting mistakes. It becomes about human passion, competition, and the timeless fascination with rarity. And what makes it even more exciting is that coins like these are not locked away forever. They often appear at public auctions where collectors from around the world bid furiously, pushing the price higher and higher until a record is set, and news headlines proclaim that an ordinary penny has sold for millions, sparking fresh interest from the public, who begin to check their own change jars hoping to discover hidden treasure. And this cycle keeps the coin collecting world alive and thriving, because the dream of finding $1 million penny is something anyone can relate to. After all, who wouldn't want to stumble across life-changing money in the form of a small coin? And beyond the auctions and collectors, we must also think about the historical context of the 2000D penny, struck at the dawn of a new millennium, representing not just a currency, but a symbolic marker of time. And the fact that within such a monumental year errors could have slipped through makes the story even more captivating. It's like holding a piece of history in your hand that also happens to be worth millions. And that duality of history and value is what makes numismatics so special. So as we continue exploring these possibilities, let's think of even more scenarios, such as coins struck with rotated dies where the obverse and reverse don't line up properly, or coins with clipped planchets where a piece of the blank is missing, leaving a crescent-shaped cut on the edge, or coins with repunched mint marks where the D for Denver was punched more than once in slightly different positions. All of these are genuine error types that add layers of rarity to the 2000 D penny, and when you stack them together the result is an infinite set of possibilities where one extraordinary example could reach that $3 million figure. Now, of course, the actual path to such valuation requires authentication, professional grading, and demand at auction, but history has shown us time and again that collectors will pay whatever it takes for unique coins, especially those with dramatic errors, strong visual appeal, and pristine condition. And the story of a $3 million penny is not just fantasy but reality when all the right factors align. And this is what keeps the hunt alive for collectors everywhere. So the next time you come across a penny from the year 2000, especially with a Denver mint mark, don't dismiss it as just another coin. Take a closer look, examine the inscriptions, the strike, the alignment, the surfaces, because you never know what you might find, and that tiny one-cent piece could be the key to unlocking a fortune and becoming part of numismatic history. And that is the true magic of coin collecting, the blending of history, rarity, mistakes, and human passion that transforms everyday change into treasures worth millions. So stay inspired, keep searching, and always remember that treasures often hide in the most ordinary of places. And make sure to like and subscribe so you never miss more incredible stories of coins that turn from pocket change into legendary fortunes. Because the next $3 million penny could be out there right now waiting for someone like you to discover it. Next, 2000 Lincoln penny. Today we dive into one of the most mind-blowing and fascinating stories in the world of rare coins and numismatics. A story that will capture the imagination of collectors, history lovers, and anyone who enjoys hearing about something ordinary becoming extraordinarily valuable, because we are talking about the legendary 2001 cent coin. A penny that in certain rare cases with unique mistakes and minting errors has reached an unbelievable value of $6 million at auctions and among private collectors. And this isn't just about a tiny copper-colored coin, it's about how history, minting technology, human error, and collector demand can transform a coin with a face value of just 1 cent into one of the most expensive small coins ever discussed in modern times. So let's take a deep journey into how and why a 2000 penny could possibly be worth $6 million and what makes it so valuable. And as we go through this story, you'll learn about the kinds of minting errors and mistakes that can turn an ordinary coin into a fortune, the possibilities of double strikes, planchet errors, die cracks, off-center strikes, transitional metal composition mistakes, broad strikes, repunched mint marks, and rare-proof strikes that accidentally entered circulation, because the year 2000 may sound recent compared to coins from the 1800s or even mid-1900s. Yet it's exactly in modern times when errors have become even more fascinating due to the mint's reliance on automated technology, which makes errors far less common and therefore far more valuable when they do happen. So collectors jump at the chance to own something rare from such a modern era. And when we talk about the 2001 cent coin, we are specifically speaking of the Lincoln Memorial Cent series, a design that had been in circulation since 1959 and ran all the way until 2008 before being replaced by the Lincoln Bicentennial and then the Union Shield design. But during the year 2000, millions upon millions of pennies were struck at both the Philadelphia and Denver mints. However, only a fraction contained the kinds of minting anomalies that could send their value soaring into the millions. And among those anomalies, the most prized are transitional errors, where a coin was accidentally struck on a leftover planchet from a previous year, such as a 2000 penny being struck on a 1999 planchet, or even on a foreign coin blank like a dime or a cent intended for another country, making the coin's weight and composition different from normal. And when collectors find out that a 2000 penny is not the standard copper-plated zinc, but instead has the wrong composition, the bidding war begins. Another type of mistake that drives value is the off-center strike, where the design of Lincoln's portrait or the Lincoln Memorial is not properly centered on the coin, but rather shifted dramatically, sometimes showing a crescent of blank space on the coin, and if the off-center error still shows the full date 2000 along with Lincoln's head, it becomes an even rarer treasure. Then, there are double die errors where the image appears to have been struck twice, giving the appearance of doubled lettering on the word liberty, the motto "In God We Trust," or the date 2000 itself. And double dies are among the most famous and highly collected errors in all of American coinage history. So a 2000 double die penny could easily become worth hundreds of thousands to millions, especially in pristine, uncirculated condition. Now imagine a coin that combines multiple mistakes. For example, a 2000 penny struck off-center with a double die, or one struck on the wrong planchet with a dramatic die crack across Lincoln's face. Those are the legendary finds that fuel stories of coins selling for astronomical amounts, like $6 million, because collectors aren't just paying for the metal, they are paying for rarity, uniqueness, history, and the bragging rights of owning something that virtually no one else in the world possesses. And in some cases, wealthy investors who don't even specialize in coins see such a piece as an alternative investment, similar to owning rare art or fine wine, something that can appreciate over time. And when we look closer at the year 2000 production, it is fascinating to note that both business strike and proof coins were made. Proofs being struck with specially prepared dies and planchets for collectors. Yet mistakes sometimes creep into proof coinage as well, like a proof 2000 penny struck with a misaligned die or struck twice, creating a spectacular error that should never have left the mint. And because proof coins are made with higher standards, errors are almost non-existent. So when one does exist, it instantly commands incredible value. But beyond the mechanical errors, there's also the allure of condition. Because a 2000 penny in average circulated condition might only be worth face value, but a gem mint state coin graded by a professional grading service at MS68 or MS69 with no visible flaws can fetch hundreds or thousands of dollars even without dramatic errors. So when that pristine condition combines with a jaw-dropping minting error, the price skyrockets into millions. And stories abound in the coin collecting community of people finding valuable coins in their pocket change, inherited collections, or jars of old coins in the attic, which fuels the dream that maybe somewhere out there lies another 2000 penny with a unique anomaly waiting to be discovered. And the $6 million figure associated with such a coin is not just about its intrinsic rarity, but also about the psychology of auctions where two or more determined bidders refuse to give up, driving the final hammer price into astronomical territory. Because when someone wants to own the crown jewel of a collection, they will pay whatever it takes. And this has happened time and again with famous coins like the 1933 St. Gaudens Double Eagle, the 1794 flowing hair dollar, or the 1943 copper cent, and now the 2000 penny with its errors joins that elite circle of legends. And think for a moment about the possibilities of mistakes specific to the year 2000, such as coins struck with a wide AM reverse instead of the intended closed AM design, because in 1998, 1999, and 2000 the reverse spacing between the letters A and M in America can identify rare varieties, with the wide AM being extremely scarce on certain years and highly collectible. And for the 2000 penny, the wide AM reverse is a known variety worth thousands of dollars. But imagine an example graded in near perfect condition or with an additional error layered on top that could easily explain a value climbing into the millions. Furthermore, the mint marks themselves can provide excitement, with repunched mint marks or machine doubling on the D for Denver, which are small details but can dramatically increase collector interest. And don't forget about die breaks and cuds, where parts of the die chip off, leaving raised lumps of metal on the coin, which create one-of-a-kind patterns, sometimes giving Lincoln a cracked skull look or a giant raised blob on the memorial, making each coin unique like a fingerprint. And uniqueness is what collectors cherish most. So when you hear of a 2,000 penny going for $6 million, you have to remember it is the culmination of several factors: extreme rarity, condition, dramatic error, collector demand, and sometimes the perfect storm of an auction environment. And while most 2,000 pennies you see in change are worth only 1 cent, it is the possibility, that tiny chance, that makes coin roll hunting and collecting so thrilling. Because you could be holding history and fortune in the palm of your hand, and the story of the 2,000 penny worth $6 million continues to inspire treasure hunters, seasoned collectors, and everyday people alike, encouraging them to look more closely at their coins, to learn about varieties, to explore the fascinating world of minting technology, and to appreciate how something as small and ordinary as a cent can carry with it mystery, value, and a tale that captures the imagination of millions. And that is the incredible world we explore together. So make sure you stay connected, keep searching, and keep learning, because you never know when the next unbelievable discovery might appear in your very own pocket change. And if you've enjoyed this deep dive into the story of the 2,000 penny worth $6 million and the possibilities that make it so valuable, make sure you like this video, share it with fellow collectors, and subscribe to the channel for more amazing stories of coins that turned out to be worth life-changing money, because the next legendary discovery could be just one coin away. Next, 1983 Lincoln Penny. Truly mind-blowing journey into the fascinating world of coins, treasures, and rare finds where everyday change transforms into life-changing fortune. And today we are diving deep into the story of the 1983 1-cent coin that has stunned collectors and auction houses alike by being valued at a jaw-dropping $10 million, all because of the errors and mistakes it carries. Mistakes that turned what was once just another penny into one of the most valuable and historic coins in modern history. And as we explore this incredible tale, you will come to understand why collectors, investors, and numismatic enthusiasts from around the globe are captivated by such discoveries, why this small copper-colored coin you may overlook every day could secretly hold immense value, and how even the tiniest variations, imperfections, and minting quirks can turn a 1-cent coin into something worth more than luxury yachts, private jets, or sprawling mansions. And it all begins with the turbulent history of U.S. coinage during the early 1980s, because 1982 and 1983 were years of transition for the penny, years when the United States Mint was phasing out the traditional solid copper composition due to rising copper prices and switching over to a new copper-plated zinc planchet, a dramatic change that opened the door to an entire series of minting errors, transitional mistakes, and anomalies that today are at the heart of the most expensive and rarest 1983 cents. Now imagine for a moment a mint worker feeding blanks into massive presses at Philadelphia or Denver, billions of cents rolling off the lines, and hidden within those billions a few coins emerge struck on the wrong planchets, struck with doubled dies, struck with off-center errors, struck with clipped edges, struck with die cracks running dramatically across Lincoln's face. And it is these tiny variations that make the difference between pocket change and a multi-million-dollar prize. And when we zero in on the most famous and jaw-dropping 1983 penny error, it is the transitional error, where instead of being struck on the copper-plated zinc planchet, a few coins were mistakenly struck on the earlier solid bronze planchets left over from 1982, and this accidental carryover created a coin that should not exist, a coin that became legendary, because by 1983 all cents were supposed to be zinc-based. And yet here are these bronze survivors breaking all the rules, and collectors have fought over them for decades, paying astronomical amounts whenever one appears at auction. And when you combine that transitional error with additional possibilities, like double die reverses where the lettering United States of America or 1 cent shows bold doubling, you have a coin that is unique beyond imagination, a coin that stands out as a once-in-a-lifetime find. Now picture yourself discovering one of these in circulation, holding a coin that weighs slightly more than the standard zinc cent, noticing the different ring When it drops on a hard surface, inspecting under magnification and realizing that you are holding a bronze transitional 1983 cent with dramatic doubling on the reverse, suddenly you are not just a casual coin enthusiast, you are the discoverer of a multi-million-dollar rarity that auctions for $10 million, changing your life forever. And this is exactly why stories like this captivate people across the world, because they remind us that treasures are still out there, that history hides in plain sight, and that patience, knowledge, and attention to detail can unlock unimaginable wealth. And what makes the 1983 penny worth $10 million even more legendary is the fact that it is not just about one error, but the possibility of multiple layered errors. Imagine a 1983 cent struck on a bronze planchet with a double die reverse, struck slightly off-center, and preserved in near-mint condition. That combination of rarity, mistake, and pristine quality creates the kind of coin that collectors dream of. And when such a specimen is authenticated by a top grading service like PCGS or NGC, placed into a protective holder, and given a top-tier grade like MS65 or higher, the value skyrockets. And that is exactly what fuels the frenzy around this coin. Now let's go deeper into the types of errors that 1983 cents can have, starting with the double die reverse, which is one of the most famous errors known, where the lettering on the reverse side shows clear doubling, especially on 1 cent and e pluribus unum, and collectors seek this error with passion, paying thousands even for circulated examples. Then there are off-center strikes, where the coin is struck so that part of the design is missing and a blank crescent of metal appears. These can range from minor misalignments to dramatic 50% off-centers where Lincoln's head is cut in half by the rim, and the more dramatic the error, the more valuable it becomes. Then there are clipped planchets, coins that appear to have a bite taken out of them, caused when a blank was punched from sheet metal that overlapped with an existing hole, and each clipped planchet creates a unique look. Then we have broad strikes where the coin was struck without a collar, spreading out wider than normal, or double-struck coins where the coin was struck twice either in the same alignment or with a dramatic rotation, creating a ghost-like image. And each of these errors increases value, and when they occur on a transitional bronze 1983 planchet, the rarity goes beyond imagination, and that's why some collectors are willing to spend $10 million for a single coin, because they are not just buying a penny, they are buying history, uniqueness, prestige, and a story that no other collector can replicate. And think about the psychology of collectors and investors who chase coins like this. For them, it is not just about having a valuable object, it is about being part of a legacy, about owning something that will forever be talked about in numismatic circles, about making headlines and cementing their name in history alongside the coin itself. And that sense of prestige is priceless. Now imagine the auction room where such a coin appears, the air electric with anticipation, bidders raising paddles, prices climbing from hundreds of thousands to millions, every increase met with gasps, until the hammer finally falls at $10 million, and the audience erupts, and that coin instantly becomes one of the most expensive small denomination coins in the world, proving once again that even the humblest coin can carry unimaginable value. And what makes this story even more incredible is the thought that there might be more out there, hiding in collections, coin rolls, jars of change, or tucked away in bank vaults, waiting to be discovered. Because history has shown us that extraordinary finds are still possible, and one day another collector might stumble across a 1983 bronze set with spectacular errors, and the cycle will repeat, driving demand and values even higher. And the dream of every collector is to be that person, to be the one who finds the hidden treasure that everyone else overlooked. And the 1983 penny story fuels the dream more than any other. And as we reflect on all of this, we see the lesson that perfection is not what makes something valuable, but imperfection, rarity, and the uniqueness of mistakes, because without those minting errors, this coin would be just another cent lost in circulation, but with them, it becomes a priceless artifact, a piece of American history, and a beacon of hope and excitement for treasure hunters everywhere. And this is why coin collecting never loses its magic, because at any moment, in any handful of change, there might be a discovery that changes everything. And the story of the 1983 cent worth $10 million is a perfect example of that magic, a reminder that even the smallest details matter, and that anyone, anywhere, could become the discoverer of the next great rarity. So as we come to the end of this incredible journey into the story of the 1983 1-cent coin worth $10 million, let it inspire you to look more closely, to study your coins, to learn about minting history, and to never dismiss even the smallest coin, because hidden within their edges and surfaces could be the key to unimaginable fortune. And that is why we share these stories, to keep the dream alive, to keep the excitement burning, and to remind you that the next treasure could be waiting in your pocket right now. So stay curious, stay passionate, and don't forget to like and subscribe for more amazing stories of rare coins and hidden fortunes, because who knows, the next tale we tell might just lead you to your own multi-million-dollar discovery.